performance last week. What was maybe the most enlightening thing that came out of that?
I think like our big message last week was just overall improvement. I think from a stance to an alignment to a technique to how it was coached. I think we looked back at all of our miscommunications and or alignment issues or whatever it may have been, and really focus it down to like, all right, what do we really need to focus on for this week to improve upon? And I think, we were able to pinpoint some things. I think as far as, all right, this alignment needs to be tighter here, or it needs to be looser here, or the depth isn't quite right here. So let's get this fixed. And then, Coach Simmons alluded to, we had 3 great days of practice last week, and I think, the energy, the attitude, the effort, all of that was there for that. And then obviously the improvement part is it getting done, and how are you practicing those techniques and how we're going about those things that really emphasize what's going on. It carried over from how guys were doing their individual to how they were going to team aspects, and you just got to say that, okay, this is how it's done. This is what we've improved upon. Now it's got to show up on these weekends. So, I feel like our guys have come off this bye week in a good place in terms of just the fundamental focus and improvements.
There's been some inconsistency with Nyland's performance since he came back, but why is it important to have him on the field? What does he change?
The inconsistencies are just he hasn't been out there consistently, right? In order for him to be consistent, he's got to be out there more, and staying healthy obviously is a part of that. Injuries are part of the game, but when he's out there, going from, I'm trying to think, when was his first game? Was it game 4? Who was game 4? Nebraska, right? Nebraska, he's holding people, right? And then it goes into the next game where he saw improvement against Wisconsin, and then you go into the next game against Illinois, he's starting to play at a pretty high level, right? And then he has another injury, now he's out again. So now we're kind of building back up to where hopefully, this Saturday he's back out there ready to go and playing at a high level, right? So, with anything, familiarity is always a good thing for players, and if they feel comfortable in what they're doing, then they're going to play confident, right? And now we just got to get them more familiar and comfortable by playing more, right? And so he's had a good off week. Hopefully he's back ready to go and ready to go for us on Saturday.
Right now, your 2 deep has a lot of true freshmen on it on the defensive side of the ball. I know some of that is injury related, but what else are you seeing from that group that is sort of establishing them and maybe allowing them to build some momentum late in the season?
Yeah, I think it's a mixture of, obviously there's been injuries in key parts and guys need to step up and play because of that. But also, I think a lot of these guys, I think of like Smiley Bradford, for instance, right? He came out, he had an unbelievable fall camp. He's savvy. He comes from a great football program at East St. Louis. And then he has a broken collarbone, and then he comes back, and then he's just now kind of getting back to that fall camp form now. So like guys like him, Hadori Hines, a kid that's really shown up. He's developed over the course of the past 2 months, just being on the look team, and then coming up, and oh wow, he's really flashing against our offense. Let's see what he can do, right? So Hadori Hines is a guy, right? Coy Beasley is a guy that needs to continue to grow and become better. He's going to be a really special player once he decides to turn it on. That's the growth that, from going from a high school player to a college player, like, all right, what's it mean to be a professional, right? And you're not always going to be the fastest guy now at this level, so we have to practice a different way. And then learning how to do that's been really good. I think D'Amico Kennedy, for instance, is a guy that I think is going to be a really valuable player to this team in the future. He's learning how to practice, how to play, how to fight through some pain and get better, right? So, I think like some of these guys have come from a lot of successful programs in high school. A lot of state championships have been won or playoff runs with these guys, so they know how to win, they know how to compete. And obviously the other end of that stuff is like we need them to play, right? Injuries and everything else will take place. So the more they get comfortable, the better they're going to play.
Was there a benefit to a bye week after playing the number 1 team in the country with Heisman candidate at quarterback?
What was the benefit of it?
Was there a benefit to having a bye week after that? And obviously you're going to get exposed against a team like that. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, sure, there's a benefit. We played a 6-game stretch there where some guys can heal up, obviously, but I think you look at every game's different, but on Ohio State played Oregon the week previous, gave them 32 against. I'm not saying that's a good thing, but I'm just saying, like, listen, guys, like. You held this offense to some, not to their standard, right? Like they wanted to score as many points as possible, and we did a decent job. So we're going to build on that, right? And you look at everywhere in college football this week. Like, all right, we were able to sit back and watch football games and on Saturday and just kind of survey the land. You know, Ohio State plays Nebraska close, right? Vanderbilt plays Texas close. Like any given Saturday has a chance to come up and surprise somebody, and whoever wants it more that day is going to be in the game, right? So like, we've got to see that and not just assume like oh gosh, you're playing Oregon, it's going to be whatever, right? Like we play Ohio State, we got to be ready to go, right? And so like the benefit for us was like step back, see what's going on, 1,000-foot picture here, and then let's get better at what we need to get.
Is the most frustrating thing after the year and a half with this team and this system still the amount of big plays that you give up? Because we talked about it for you put teams in tough down and distance situations, and it seems like they come up with 20-yard play to get out of it.
Yeah, I think certain situations, I got to call better calls on it, and then we have got to execute calls too, right? So I think against certain teams we want to be more aggressive. Other teams we got to make sure we just get the ball down and do certain things like that. But yeah, obviously we want to eliminate explosive plays as much as possible, and in order to do that, you got to run to the ball, you got to tackle, you got to do all those little things right, and obviously if it's a bust in a scheme, what was that issue, why, and then we got to get that fixed too, right? So we want to eliminate them all, and play great defense.
I know they've struggled the last couple of weeks, but what challenges does Northwestern's offense pose to you guys?
I think the quarterback, number 12, is a good player for him. He's able to kind of keep plays going with his legs and scramble, and he'll find ways to get out of the pocket, extend drives, and do things in that such nature. So, obviously keeping the quarterback in check and in the pocket and not let him run around, that's always a challenge, and because you could have a perfect rush and he could break a tackle and scamper out, right? So we have to do a great job with him, and then they're a seasoned team on offense. They got a lot of guys with a lot of experience. The two receivers, 17 and 8, are guys that have played a lot of football for them. The running backs play a lot of football. The tight ends, I feel like, have been there forever. Since I've been back in the conference, I think they've been there. So, they've got a lot of experience. They've got a lot of confidence. So, and I think the O-line's a good offensive line. So it's going to be a well-matched game, and whoever can execute the best, like always, is going to be the team to come out on top.
Kevin, you coached football a long time. Have you ever had to navigate through a season like this? It's got to be trying. And if you have you dealt with it? And then just how do you deal with it now, I guess?
Yeah, when Coach Deneen was a sophomore, I believe, at the University of Kansas, we had a rough year, but that was the first year of the program. I think that was something where we inherited a program that was like, there was less scholarship players on the field when we played South Dakota State than Kansas had less players, and that was the kind of era that was, right? Couldn't replace scholarships, and so that was a tough year, right? Didn't win many games, if any at all, and so I had to navigate through that. But this year right now has been like rewarding in a sense where we got to figure things out, and it's not what we expected right now as we came into the season where we would be right now. And it's really forced me personally to really self-reflect and say, all right, well, how can I be better as a coach to help our players be in a better position, right? How can I be better as a leader to help our coaches coach our guys better? And I think for the most part, like everybody's still pulling the same direction. Everybody is still doing what we can to improve, and we got to keep that going, right? And whether it's having high energy, whether it's holding people accountable, you have to have those tough, difficult conversations at times. But as long as we are we're always striving to be better than we were yesterday, we got a chance to do something great, right? So, I think I've been very lucky in my career to have some success, and I think this is just this is an instance right now where it's forced me to. My wife told me the other day, is like, this is a first for you. You have to learn how to handle this, right? And I think that this is a great opportunity. Like it's never glass half empty with me, right? It's all right. How can we make this better? Right? How are we going to fix it? And let's move on, right? So every week it's like, all right, we got to fix this. All right, there's no quit. There's no give up. It's like, all right, let's fix this now. All right, and move on.
Any more questions for Coach Kane? All right, thank you, Coach.